Imagine strolling by a beautiful rocky desert river and listening to the chirps and squeaks of the adorable and spunky little Coelophysis. I had wanted to emulate this feeling, a cute little river burbling away while these adorable little rascals ran about causing havoc and mayhem, the warmth of the desert on the rocks. It feels directly opposite of our little forest garden, lush with life and cool breezes, which is exactly the thing I wanted this habitat to be, as it sits on the opposite side of the zoo from our Leaellynasaura. At first, when I started thinking of how to build this exhibit, I had anticipated having the viewing areas on the sides, which is why there's walkways on both ends, and then on a whim I put in an over-the-fence viewing platform, intending still on the sides to be glass-encased viewing points and the main focus. As I built, I placed more emphasis on the view in this platform, including glass over a bedding area and front sides to get a wide range of viewing options. In the end, I decided to leave the paths on either side with two distinct and unique views. One more desert-like, very dry and rocky, barren of unique details, but a glimpse of the shallow oasis blended off into the distance in the background, and the small oasis river itself on the other side, the crowded, thriving clusters of plants and trees clinging to the ever-dwindling water. It feels like a delicate balance, like one too hot day and everything will crumble, while the forest opposite it grows day by day, uncaring and impervious. It's almost poetic. And given that I enjoy giving little lives and stories to my habitats, it feels like the right thing to do for this one, even if it's not as grand and dramatic visually as some of the other ideas I've had and will have. Sometimes it's nice to slow down and do something simple. All my ideas aside, I spent most of the time of this build on the viewing platform. It had a mind of its own, and I just kept adding things as the ideas popped into my head. Although I wish we had more arched roof styles and options. I ended up going with a fairly rectangular build with a sloped glass ceiling in the middle of the two walkways where you can watch the Coelophysis sleep under the red lamps. Happily, these lamps are the first successful red lamps I've got in the zoo. Not sure why all the ones previously failed. After the platform, I carried on shaping the habitat and paths, letting them take on a bit of life themselves. The whole thing is sort of shaped like a tooth or claw, and I think that's pretty cool. Very sharp-edged compared to the gentle curves of the garden hedges opposite. I was hoping to spice up the color of the terrain with some coastal substrate, but for some reason that one paint option seems to not care how low I set it. It just fills the space instead of blending. So I opted for desert grass and some coastal grass to bring in color, a few flowering bushes to bring in the other bursts of color. I also settled on a cream-colored stone fence for the barrier. On the oasis side, I ended up placing low glass barriers just to stop the guests and staff from walking in, and had to lift some rocks to prevent the little troublemakers from walking out, which will also be the only visit from Nigel in this video. Or is it? At the end of recording, I noticed we had Nigel watching me build and work, and I didn't notice for the whole thing. I wonder if anyone else noticed him while I was building the viewing platform. Anyways, I did some rocky bits around the desert half and did a trick I'm trying to learn to do well from Sam the Dino Fan. They do it on their videos. I love the looks of sinking the little rock clusters and hope one day to master it. Then I made sure to add in some more low-laying shrubs and floppy plants to blend the whole thing together, and brought out the cute Coelophysis themselves. I didn't know they chased their tails. I've never put any into any of my zoos that I can recall, and I'm happy I did so today. That brings us to the end of my chattering, though. Do you have any tips or tricks in your zoos that you love and can't stop but adding to each habitat? I'd love to hear about them in the comments. And I hope you all enjoyed the build as much as I enjoyed making it. Hope to see you in the next one. Take care.
Coelophysis is without a doubt the most iconic dinosaur of the Triassic period. It was named all the way back in 1889, making the genus well over 100 years old. That's nothing compared to the actual age of the animal, of course. The most recent specimens of Coelophysis are roughly 200 million years old.